welcome to another episode of Spiritual Superpowers. This is Dawn, I'm Caron, and today we have a very practical episode, I think, for people. We want to talk about getting out in nature and how it helps you to raise your vibration.
Yes, I and Caron love the outdoors, and over the years through our journeys and how we have been working towards recovery and healing, being outside, connecting with nature has been such an important part of our journeys.
Yeah, so I know a lot of you might have cottages or whatever, and getting away to that cottage, think about how that makes you feel once you get there. It might be stressful getting there sometimes, but think about how it makes you feel when you're there. And why is that, right? And a lot of times when we get out in nature, it really is an easy way to help raise our vibration.
Yeah, I'm sure that for most of us, if we do pay attention to how we do feel outside, and then how we feel after coming inside, we usually do feel a lot more refreshed, a lot more elevated. And that's because nature, everything has an energy vibration, and nature is just so symbiotic, and Mother Earth is just so giving and beneficial to us as humans and animals on this earth, that as we submerge ourselves in with the plants and the ground and the earth, all those ions help to balance our energy field and help to neutralize us, as well as boost our energy, having removed negative energy and helping to replenish us with more symbiotic and beneficial energy.
Yeah, and the other thing is, notice when you're at the cottage, you're often in bare feet a lot. And what happens when you're in bare feet and you're walking around is we're grounding into the earth. And we'll talk more about grounding in another episode. But basically, you can, transmute any negative energy down into the earth when you just walk around. So, I mean, it's something that is a good thing to do. I know I just like to do it around my house every now and again. It feels good to walk around in your bare feet.
It does, yeah, definitely. And I know for me, being out in nature is a huge factor for me in my intuition and clarity. If I feel bombarded with other types of EMFs or any other type of, taking on other people's energy, getting out into nature, connecting with the trees and the grass and the flowers, and just taking those moments, breathing in that fresh air, helps to, like I said earlier, remove all the negative energy, all that excess energy that I've accumulated. But there's also that connection that you feel. It's on a completely different level, and it's like you're tapping into something very special, and like you're tapping into source. And that connection for me just helps to bring a lot of clarity and allows me to elevate my energy so that I'm able to see a lot more. I can start to see the auras around the trees. I can feel like I'm receiving information a lot more, and it might just be as simple as being a little bit more clear in the head, but for me it's that much more in tune with my intuition and knowing what is coming or what is in my best interest down the line. So I personally like it because it's my own little psychic reading when I go out in nature.
And me being an animal communicator, I also like it because there's more animals around, and you can kind of tune into different birds and squirrels and whatever animals you see, and maybe you're picking up messages from them, and they all have their messages, right, to give us, and the insects and so on. So there's all sorts of ways that you can be benefited by getting out in nature. And it doesn't have to be a cottage. If you're in the city, go find a park, just make sure there's lots of trees and grass and that sort of
green space,
yeah. And take off your shoes or have a picnic.
Do some deep breathing. And one thing that I like to do when we're out in nature, because you were talking about animals and paying attention to what you see, is they want to communicate with us as well. Like that's the universe communicating with us. And there are times when I'll be walking and I'll come across 3 snakes.
Yep.
And it makes you wonder, like, what does snake mean? And then you go and maybe Google what does snake mean on a spirit animal or power animal type of way. What is the universe trying to explain? And then you get these messages like, oh, you're in a point where you're shedding your skin, you're in transition, there's new beginnings. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going through right now. Or, oh, how exciting that that's coming. So, you know, like if you see a hawk, it's telling you to pay attention to the signs of the universe. If you come across a lot of butterflies, you know, does someone pop into your mind that you think of who's on the other side, and that could be their way of communicating. So when you're out there, you have the benefit and the option of or the opportunity to receive all those messages from the universe as well. So I definitely think that getting outside and playing with the animals and seeing who's there and what you can receive from it is definitely something to do as well.
Yeah.
And I would invite our viewers, there's the first books I ever read in this topic was the Celestine Prophecy, and it is still to this day probably my favorite book. And in it, the author talks about when he starts to learn more about this other realm that some people are in, they teach him how to kind of take their vision out of focus and be able to kind of tap into the energy field of a tree or of a plant. And he's able to witness the aura, but he's also able to sense that connection, that energetic connection between a plant and himself, and just how that exchange of energy helps him feel that much more stronger. And so I would invite anyone who, you know, enjoys being outside, or those of you who aren't really outdoorsy people, to just even find a green space, just kind of sit with it for a moment, take some deep breaths, and then maybe put your eyes out of focus when you're staring at something, and see if you can see this, like an energy field, or get a sense of your field and this plant's field merging, and just see how you feel, because it's really cool. And that's the steps and the little practices that you can take in order to increase your intuition and your psychic abilities.
Yeah, and the other thing you can do is, if there's a lot of trees around, kind of look at the trees, pick out one that you're drawn to, and just go give it a hug. So there's, you know, everyone's heard of the term tree huggers. It's for a reason, because we can bring into our being that positive energy from a beautiful old tree. So just give it a hug and just see how you feel, or just sit with your back against a tree for a meditation and see what comes up for you. Or maybe even try to communicate with the tree.
Yes.
You know, ask that tree some questions about itself and see what comes up.
And something, just on a side note of communicating with the trees, if you are ever doing yard work and you're wondering about taking down a tree, or if you have, you know, some maple trees that you're thinking of tapping in, it's always nice to kind of tune into the tree, maybe ask it, if it would like to be tapped, if it has the energy to share that syrup with us. Or, for instance, on our property, there was this tree that my husband wanted to move, and so I got the sense when I asked it that it was really happy where it was. And so I asked him, well, just take a moment and ask the tree, like look at the tree, engage with it, and ask it, would you like to be moved to this location? And he also got that, no, I'm quite happy here. So this is a way that we can start to, you know, increase our communication skills, and then also be aware of what is best for the environment, and have that respect that they are living creatures, they have a soul, and they have a purpose, and we don't want to mess with that unless they are in agreement.
Yeah, and if you're questioning that concept a little bit, think about, we'll take the tree as an example. How does a tree know to lose its leaves in the fall? You know, to bud in the spring. You know, I know a lot of trees, especially the oak trees around here, had issues with the
Gypsy moth.
The gypsy moth caterpillars. And I know my oak trees, they produce leaves the second time after all the leaves were eaten by the gypsy moth caterpillars. So they have, you know, if you're questioning this concept of the intelligence of plants and land and different things, just know that everything has its inner intelligence, its inner energy, and we can tap into that. So
Definitely. And I think I have a theory with that, because there's some research that came out a couple of years ago where they figure that the root system with plants is actually in its own little like neighborhood, where all the plants in their roots give off energy, and almost like our nerves and our axons, and how we have these synapses and we communicate through the nerves. They theorize that the roots of the plants actually communicate that way amongst themselves. So when Toronto was hit really bad with the gypsy moths, and then Caledon here, we were hit last year, but not too bad. It's almost like they were able to communicate, hey, surrounding, trees, we are going to have gypsy moths again. Make sure that you have the energy to do a second bloom, because it's about their survival, right?
Yeah.
And there's that great quote where, the most hardiest plants are the ones that weather the storm, but then also remember to bask in the sunshine at the same time. And I think that is, something that we can take away from plants as well. And they just, they have this intelligence, and they've been around a lot longer than we have, and they've survived a lot more than we have. So there's something that we can really benefit from them, not just on an energetic point, but just from that level of connection and respect.
yeah, and if you're interested in kind of pursuing this thinking a little bit more, there's a book called The Secret Life of Trees.
Yes.
Right, so look that up, and
we'll include a link
all of
below.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good book. Yeah. So we hope you enjoyed this video on engaging with nature and the metaphysical benefits. And we hope that you liked this episode. So if you did, please give us a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell right next to it so you don't miss the next one. So until next time, get outside, enjoy these remaining few beautiful days of summer, and let us know what you feel as you get out there and you start tapping into the intelligence of the other beings that surround us.
Yeah. All right, so thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you guys soon.